What's good? What's good?
What's going on? How's everything?
Good, man. You sounding nice and crispy, nice and clear. How you feeling tonight, brother?
A little banged up. Had an injection today.
Oh,
in my hip. Yeah, so I was out of it all day. A little groggy.
let's see. You got a little injection. Yeah.
Not a little injection. They put me to sleep, but.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
yo.
Mm-hmm.
Were you out? Were you out?
Yeah. At least I didn't curse the doctor out this time. Last time I had the T-Rex moment. I cursed him out.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. The motherfucker was waiting by my foot last time. I had plantar fasciitis.
Okay.
So doctor, he was like that by my foot. Like once I started grog, bang! I was like, "Ooh, you motherfucker!" Nurse was like, "Yo, you had a Tourette's moment." I was like, "No doubt." I was like, "Brooklyn coming out," but today was good. It was like, "I'm gonna put some, make you feel at ease." I was like, before he even finished, I was out. I woke up like, "Oh, what's good?"
Good evening to the regular schmegular, Miss Angelica Reyes.
Thank you, Angelica.
Yeah. As you're coming into the room, let it be known. Just make a comment. Let us know you with us tonight. So, pretty dope. Let me take this music down. New York City, especially, stand up. Let me hit you with the flex bomb real quick. Because tonight, we got something real special for y'all. And I hope that everybody's ready to enjoy this conversation. Tonight, the set welcomes from Brooklyn, Mr. A.L., all lyrical. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's a great time to have it. We're on the cusp of Big's Memorial Day. And I'm really happy and excited to have this gentleman on. He's bringing a piece of history from the culture that we all know and love, hip hop. So I'm really, really excited. I know this gentleman has a lot to bring to the table, and I'm hoping everybody's going to enjoy the conversation. Mr. Johnny Chavez, we see you. Yeah, so good thing that you got back, because I know driving through that traffic is.
Whew, yeah, I have made arrangements to come right back. Driven back, so it was fine. I didn't have to wait. If I would have waited in Brooklyn, I would have never made it. So.
Yeah, that traffic is crazy, right?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, it's a crazy day. I'm on no sleep, but you know what? Tonight is what it is. It's Wednesday. It's our day, and we're here to get it in as always. And just so everybody knows, the set will be on all streaming platforms within the next week. So if you want to hear the set 6145, you can check us out on all streaming platforms. iHeartRadio. What's the platform you listen to us?
Spotify today.
Spotify, Apple. We covering all bases. Good evening to my baby sis, Ms. Zenobia Mercado, Josiah and Ace, and my son fools. You better behave yourself. Damn, everybody's flooding the room, kid.
Let's go.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna have this conversation. Sel, I think we're just gonna run this track and get into it, no?
Let's do it.
Hey, let's go, baby. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mr. A.
I'm your co-host, Sully Sassong, in the building.
And this is the set 6145. Tonight, as I stated earlier, we got a piece of history coming to the set of Mr. A.L., all lyrical. And this brother's going to give us his journey into the world of hip hop. His come up was serious because, and I think it's very important to speak on in this moment. You know, with the way the music scene is going, I'm not too happy about it. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that agree with me. But he comes from the era, the golden era, where you had to be able to rap. So we thought it was very important.
On the fly.
Yeah, you had to be able to really spit, you know. And in that time, you couldn't spit. You wasn't getting no love. It's not like how it is today.
And another thing is he stood true to his craft. This is what he does. I'm not switching up. This is what I do. And let's just keep going with it. And he's part of the culture, period, because you know, the whole clothing stuff and all that stuff also. So
Willie Esco. I don't want to give up too much.
For sure.
But before we start the show,
doing it.
Yeah. Before I start the show tonight, I wanna share something with everybody. In the vein of hip hop. Tonight, we were lucky enough to get a preview of a track that a past guest that was on the set just put up tonight. And I wanted to share this because this track is just, it's so dirty. Take a listen.
X up.
Come on.
Yeah. Fuck y'all niggas thought, man. K L Z. Yeah.
Come on.
Key in the ignition, nigga. Tell me who riding. Website, view side, nigga. It's a hybrid. Silence. We creasing niggas with them irons. Have y'all niggas lying.
So that was produced by Soundview's own Minnesota from Money Boss Players. Salute to Minnesota and the whole clique. That was Eddie Chiba and Lord Tariq. And if you don't know, you got work.
You have AL coming and spitting.
So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, from New York City, Mr. AL, all lyrics.
Yes. What's up? New
guy.
York City, my guy from the set. Appreciate the being on this. So it's an honor to get on with you guys. I know you guys are doing your thing. Yeah, man, I'm here. I'm still here, loving the love for music, the love of hip hop.
For sure.
Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah, for sure, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll say again, man, what you see before you is a gentleman that was a part of history, a part of the golden era of hip hop. And there's so much on the table to talk about tonight. So we're just gonna get right into it. So welcome to the set. I am super excited. I don't even know where to start, but I'm gonna start as always in the beginning. So how does everything start for you? Is it a realization at a very young age that you wanted to be involved in hip hop, or is it something that came to you later on in life?
No, I just as a kid, yeah, I used to. As a kid, music was a big thing. My first records that I was like five years old. My father had a collection of salsa records and all that. This is back in the days, and my uncle sent me a record which was Off the Wall, from Colombia. So my parents are both Colombian. I'm first generation, born here. So my uncle sent me a record, and back then they would sign it and say to Superman. Superman was my favorite. I guess you at that time, you know, you're talking about 80, 81, early. So those records, I would have two records. It would be Saturday Night Fever and Off the Wall, Michael Jackson. I would walk with those records, and every Sunday, you know, my hardworking family. Every Sunday was probably the day that would take out. My father would take my mother out, all of us to eat, or go to my cousin's house in Queens, and the Roomba starts. The Roomba, if you don't know what Roomba means, the party starts. And Saturday and Sunday, those weekends, and I'll never forget, I would run and grab those records and make sure I played them, and I would dance. So dancing was the beginning of me, you know, attaching myself to music, and then it grew. So after that, you know, hip hop came, and then that blew my mind. That was it. My cousin was a DJ. God rest my cousin's soul. My cousin John Edwin, he was from Queens. He was a few years older than me, and he had DJ equipment. So I even got pictures of me holding the headphones with the mic, and kind of the beginning of me like going into this culture of hip hop, and started off with Run DMC, you know, everything that you heard on the radio, and that was it. You know, my love for hip hop, it was just like I was gravitated to that. And as that came about, I was breakdancing. One of my best friends was on 58th Street and 5th, my boy Raphael. We had a breakdance crew, the TEP, the Electric Pop Breakers. And you know, we were very young. I was very young then. And, you know, I had curfews and stuff like that. I remember vividly going to see B Street on Fort Way at the Fort Way.
Jesus.
and dancing in the friggin' in the lobby, radio. I was the youngest one out of the bunch, so I was like the secret weapon because I used to pop real good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I was obsessed with this. I like you said, I put it into the universe, and I became that. Like, you know, one of the songs that I remember is Sucker MC, where DMC says, I'm DMC in the place to be. I go to St. John's University, man. I went to St. John's because of that.
Right.
Wow.
You know, that stuck in my head. And as I went in my schools, I said, yo, I'm going to go to St. John's. But that was like the beginning. I was like, well, what is that? What's St. John's? That got to be a cool place to go to. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, yo, I wanna take it back real quick because I know you, like I said, I know you personally for years, and I know you're a huge, you know, with your family. So you said your parents were Colombians. Were they dreamers coming here? Like what was like?
Oh, my parents were, of course, dreamers. I mean, coming from where my father worked he worked at a telephone company, and then my mom's was a banker. So you know, they were set up with good jobs. They were set with real good jobs, but they found themselves like saying, "Now we want to go further." And a lot of the people from Colombia were migrating, and you know, my mother's brother left. My mother's sister left first. Like they're always over here in Brooklyn. They landed in Flatbush. That's where I was born. My first, like, you know, and my father bounced. And when he came out to New York, man, all the stories that I hear from my father, those are a lot of the first generation that coming from over there. My mother had to learn English as she was teaching me Spanish at the same time. You know, think about that. That's how difficult that is, you know?
Yeah.
And my father, man, I give it to him, bro. He set it up. You know, he worked 2 to 3 jobs, was a super, worked at a cardboard factory. And then he ended up getting his hustle on, making money. And then he started his own restaurant business in 86, 87. And then I grew up in the restaurant business too, like doing that. But my father also was into music. And my father, like me and my father have like the same type of character. He knows everybody in Spanish community.
Right.
So along to that, he was into the music. He was best friends with Jairo Varela. He started making, you know, parties, salsa parties, bringing Grupo Nietzsche out to New York, doing stuff with Ralph Mercado, Celia Cruz, Johnny Pacheco. I got pictures of all this.
Wow.
So like, you know, he kind of like he is a reflection of what I am now, you know, as far as a socialite. My father's a big socialite. I mean, you name any celebrity from Colombia he met, he knows. And they came
he wasn't the Jorge Valdez he wasn't the Jorge Valdez guy though. He went the other way. He wasn't that type of banker.
he was a different type of guy. I mean, he knew from all the gangsters to the athletes. He actually had the whole Colombia team come and eat at the restaurant.
Wow.
He actually had which I mentioned before, the owner of Grupo Nietzsche, which is Jairo Varela. I went to go visit him in jail in '99.
Wow.
Damn.
Because my father and him were really, he got caught for tax evasion when he was laundering money for the cartel from Cali, but that's another story. But anyway, just speaking about like what you know, the culture I come from, and it's not easy becoming a Latino jumping into hip hop also, you know what I'm saying? The love that we have for hip hop, and we've been here from the beginning, but it just so happens it's not a lot of MCs that took that route. And I wasn't scared of that because this is what I love to do.
It's crazy we're 14 minutes in. We went from legendary salsa groups, mommy and daddy, making their way in the American dream and having some really good jobs, because banker and telephone company, that's middle class America right there. That's, you know, in the 80s. And then we're hearing about all the travels and visiting dudes in jail. We're 14 minutes and 50 seconds.
I got you.
Let's go.
We got a lot to cover here, brother. So it sounds like, and I know this is true for me, and I'm sure it's true for Sally, music was the most influential part of the whole picture, because there was this sound, there was a change of sound in the time that we grew up, because we grew up in the disco era, right? So dance and dance music was prevalent when we were children. And as we started to get older, hip hop was birthed because of samples and breaks. And those breaks are part of our like DNA growing up. So when we hear songs, we're motivated. We're like, oh, yeah, I feel this. That led to breaking. So now you have all this different energy and then this creative force culminating in this moment and birthing hip hop. To be in that time is just special. But not only that, you have the foundation of these MCs because you've seen it go from, oh, wow, that's great. This is new thing to go into Rakim, KRS-One, Chuck D, right?
Oh, man.
So
Mind blown.
I want to, the reason why I'm saying that is because I want to make a point and ask you a question from that. Growing up in that time and evolving into the MC that you have, how important is lyrical content to you as an MC?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything. It's what makes to me when I walk around. I don't walk around like a dumb person. I walk around like as an intelligent being. I want to be an intelligent being. So that being said, I approach everything on that level. Now, as far as, you're writing a song and whatever it is, topics could be different, but I still have to attack it the way that I want to attack it, which with a well thought, or process of well thinking something complicated where it's not so easy, because you could say, yo, I just came out the home. I'm in my, the beginning of hip hop was kind of in that flex where it was a crowd participation, boom, boom, boom. And then it started getting a little more complicated where you had to make maybe the crowd laugh or, say something real, thing. And then it started getting more complex as time went on, where you found Rakim and KRS bringing, a whole different spectrum of what hip hop is supposed to be. Because I still give it up to Melly Mel. I still give it up to Grandmaster Caz. I still give it up to them. And they still perform to this day.
Yes.
On point. Like you can't take nothing away from them. But they're in their class. They're in their class of form. So lyrical content is always going to be for me. Whenever I hear a song, as soon as I hear the first 4 bars, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, he's nice." You know what I'm saying? That's it. I'll be like, "Okay, he's nice." And then you take everything is in taste and manner. Like, okay, then you break down. Oh, maybe I don't like his voice. Maybe it's funny because you can have this conversation about a lot of things and songs that I've heard. Like I remember, we have a conversation and say the choice is yours from Black Sheep. I used to hate the record. I just didn't like the record. Yeah, but it'd be some records like that became very big and whatever. But I respect it. But at one point, sometimes
the MC in you.
Yeah, I didn't know, but I want to take that back. That record is definitely a classic record. Fact. But it wasn't my favorite at the time.
Right.
But that's in choice of taste of, I don't like this record because I don't like the beat or something like that. But
were you into the West Coast end that time? Like when before like NWA, like I was on Eazy-E right away and the NWA and I brought it to the block,
Okay, yeah. Oh no, yeah. The first time I heard I didn't Eazy-E was really not, but when I heard Straight Outta Compton, that beat and the rhymes and Ice Cube, Ice Cube, bro. Oh man, I'm Straight Outta Compton, crazy ass nigga. Yo, I was blown away. Yeah, that's a different category of that time. But yeah, once again, their content was different.
Yes,
their content was more of what they were dealing with out there.
Exactly,
which is way different than what we were dealing out here. We wasn't dealing with, you got a blue rag or you got a red, like, and now I don't know what New York is about because this there's no topic I can't even speak about it. Guys, somebody just sent me a meme of some kids in Brooklyn. They're all throwing like Chicago gang signs and fork, and I'm like, yo, I don't understand, but I guess it is what it is. People just like I find a lot of followers and no more leaders anymore.
Oh my God! Did everybody hear that? A lot of followers and not enough leaders, and that's so on point right now. Let's reel it in. AL, let's talk about the come up, because I know when we were talking before we started the show, we definitely brushed the topic about the moment in New York City and what it was like. People, if you're listening, in the 90s in New York City, if you went to Manhattan, specifically the Ville and the Lower East and all those areas, and anywhere that you were trooping, like we used to call it, yo, let's go trooping. And we would walk, boroughs, whatever.
Jump on a train.
Jump on the train.
If you're lucky, you had one guy that had the car. I had the car early. I had the whip early, right, Sally? Sally knows. I had the van at 17, and I was out. That's the thing about me too. Like from where I grew up in Bensonhurst, Italian neighborhood, Sunset Park. You know, it was in that whole area. But being from where I was at, I was looking to what I wanted to do. I was like, yo, at that time, I was dancing. I wanted to be in circles. I wanted to be in videos. And then for you to do that, it's like, you can't be on the block. You got to go to nightclubs. You got to go out to the city. You got to you got to rub shoulders and meet people. And I did that. I exactly did that. Coming from high school, I was still dancing, and I was dancing for a rapper. But back then, I was freestyling off the top. So if you know about me, Sally knows, my freestyle is, I catch the spirit, you catch the spirit. So I left high school, went to St. John's, and that's when I started sitting down and writing. Started writing like in 93, 94, 95. And I had to sharpen my skills up, until I got to the point where I had to was able to like perform in front of people. And I found myself every time writing something, I would compete with, G-Rap or whoever I thought was dope. And at the time, I was getting into punchlines and stuff like that. And Dr. Dre and the Lover came up to my school. They did a hip hop contest. So there was a mixer, and they did a contest. And this was like my first time jumping into a hip hop contest. And it was like 5 people, and I destroyed everybody. I mean, there was people that were on there that were like, the fraternity brothers. So they had a whole crowd. Me, I was known for wearing polo. So I was the quiet dude that loved hip hop. I was always hanging out with this, like a clique in St. John's that were all hip hop heads wearing polo, that whole fashion thing. And when I got on stage, I'll never forget this. I was rhyming to the most beautifulest thing. That instrumental was perfect. Wow. And everything that I dropped came, and the whole school went crazy. You can ask Ulysses Torero and Jesse. They was at that function, and they remember me from that day. Because basically at that time there was really no Latinos really like spitting outside of what at that time who was rapping. Cypress Hills, and then you have Fat Joe, and that's that. Like there was nobody else rapping, Latinos rapping. So that gave me the bug. And that was the door that opened everything. I had the confidence, started writing more and more. It led me to we were going out to West 4th, meeting people in the ciphers. Every Saturday you would go to the Village. You're going out there to hang out, to meet girls, go to the nightclub, whatever it was. But yeah, the Village was a stomping ground for a lot of those freestyles. And I shout out Supernatural, another MC that was in that era. Of course, Mos Def, Kweli. A lot of people that was coming up at that time, which would lead me to tell you where we'll go to NYoricans Poets Cafe.
Hey, yo, your Wi-Fi's lagging a little bit. In the video, we could hear your audio, but the Wi-Fi's lagging a little bit. I just wanted to bring, like, I remember you, like Charlie Hustle, like Pretty Boy, you know what I mean? But y'all was to get it in with the spitting for sure, But when did the New York Puerto Rican? You said the poet. What was you say?
NYoricans Poets Cafe.
Right. Did you do that first or Lyricist Lounge first?
Well, I did that first. I started doing that first. Okay. The first they had this event. My man put me on and was like, "Yo, come down. Bobbito Garcia is hosting this thing called, the first Wednesday.
Stretch and
It's
Bobby.
an open mic thing. You write your name down, they pick you, you get to rap. So I was like, oh, word, Bobbito? So at that time, Bobbito was like, so the Stretch and Bob Show, if you don't know history about that, Stretch and Bob Show is another landmark of hip hop, of underground, of the golden era, because what they did, they set everything present for what hip hop was. That along with, I guess, Video Music Box with Ralph McDaniel, all of these things that was going on in our time was special. So now I said to myself, wow, Bobbito's hosting that. If he listens to me, maybe I get a chance to get up on the radio station, because that's what they were doing. They were giving, unsigned artists a chance, independent artists. This is the beginning of, artists doing their own thing and being able to be heard, not because you don't have a big label behind you. Nah, you can put out your own record. And here's the facility to show you love, to play your record if you're dope. Now, mind you gotta be dope. You gotta pass that test. And no lie, the first time we went up there, I was with my boy Jedi. I had a rap group back then too called House of Reps. So me and Jedi get on stage, and Jedi was special too because I was like 19, he was 16, and he was Colombian too, Latino. He looked like a nerd, but this kid would rhyme like a maniac. Like he'll get on stage and you'll be like, "Who's rapping? You're rapping?" I did that with one of my first times going to the studio was with Lord Jamal, and I let him rap to Lord Jamal. And Lord Jamal was like, "Oh no, let him go last. You go second. He goes, let him go last." So yeah, the NYoricans was the first time I went there. I got called up, and we demolished it. And after that, Bobbito looked at us like, yeah, he instantly took a liking to us. And we never missed another Wednesday ever after that. It was just like every Wednesday, to the point, like for a year rocking that much, that if we was in the building, everybody knew us already, he would just put us on the stage without even picking our names. For real.
No. That was a thing. That was a thing.
That's how nice that's how, because if you've gone to those shows, it'll be like maybe, I guess, 20 MCs, 20 poets. I'm not gonna lie, the MCs were trash. Like, it was a lot of trash. For real. You'd be like, oh man, you'll be waiting for the poet to go on, and then certain cats would come on and they would shine, but it was like that. But that's the way that's conducted, because that's an open mic, it's an amateur thing, and I'm not taking them back, because I learned how to perform there. I got better and better. I learned so much by going to that function, man.
People don't. I don't know if anybody in the room has been. I've been at least a small handful of times. Two cats from my block, actually, I brought them there, and one dude who passed away, his name was Raymond Emerson. He was a white boy, big, fat, 6'1", 350-pound white boy. He was nasty, and when I put his name in the hat, he got picked. As soon as he walked up there, you could hear the grumblers, dude snapping, this fat motherfucker. Son, and it was the live shit. It wasn't no break beat. Live shit.
Yeah. They had a 3-man band, right? They had a drummer, a piano.
He tore it down, and everybody was like, "Oh shit, that fat white boy is nice." But it was such an intimate place because it was big enough for performance, but it was small enough that you could intermingle with people. You could be there and meet so-and-so and bump into so-and-so, and everything was just chill. And they used to burn it down in there. It was dope. NYoricans Cafe at the time was everything for people. So, AL, now you sharpen your sword performance-wise, and you start networking and you're meeting these people. At what point do you finally get like what you would consider your first break and making a cut or being in the studio?
Oh yeah, so I started working with this guy named Kenny Diaz. He was a producer from back in the days. It's a crazy connection with him. He wrote a song called Goody Goody for Lizette Melendez. Goody goody. They got Greg Nice in it.
Oh,
Guess
wow.
what?
I remember that.
Yeah.
All right, guess who? All right, guess who directed it? Rosie Perez.
Oh, salute to
Guess
Perez.
who did an audition to be in the video? Me. And I get to be in the video.
Pop locking or rhyming?
No, this is dancing. This is dancing. They were looking for the lead.
All right.
Whose song was this?
This is
Lizette
Lizette Melendez.
Together Forever Yours. That was the one that did the freestyle, right? She did the freestyle.
She did the Together Forever, that joint, but it's not that song. There's
Right,
another
right.
song called
Mm,
Goody Goody Goody, and it got Greg Nice on it.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Nice is rapping on it. And the funny thing is, I went to audition for that. I made a fool of myself because this was my first time doing that shit. Rosie Perez assigned me, called me, because the lead was some big buff dude, man. Back then I was like 120 pounds. I was a skinny link, whatever. But I was so funny. And she was like, yo, I want you to be in the video no matter what. There's like a club scene on the rooftop at the Puck building. I ended up going there, and then fast forward, I meet Kenny. He's the Kenny Diaz writing that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the video right there. You guys are funny. Yeah, that was supposed to be me.
The buff dude?
The buff dude.
Too much
It's
restaurant food?
Yeah.
No, it's funny because she asked me to take off my shirt. I was like, I ain't taking off my shirt. This is around professionals. I never did an audition. So I'm like, I tell her, nah, I'm not taking off my shirt. She goes, what? They looked at me like I was crazy. Like I was so non-professional, so hood.
Right.
But yeah, so then Kenny Diaz, I met him through another friend with Jedi, and he heard us and he was like, oh wow, y'all dope. And then we started just going to the studio. He was actually his wife is Sapphire. So when I first meet him, I met him in Williamsburg before Williamsburg turned gentrified.
Right.
He had a two-story duplex. Some fires, and on top of him lived Maurice Malone, the designer.
Wow.
So we go into the studio, and he has a studio downstairs, state of the art, and we just start recording. And one of the records I did was called Lyrics. And fast forward, I'm performing, doing stuff like that. I'm starting to get known and recognized. And Lyricist Lounge is another place, an event that I get to go to. And they heard of me already. They know about me kind of in a way. I performed at one of their open mics, and they asked me if I had a demo. I had a demo.
Wow.
Mind you, that was a few songs from that. And now at the same time as I'm doing that, I meet the Beatnuts. And Juju starts giving me beats and bringing me around. And it all happened like within like a 5-6 month process where I already had a demo. Lyricist Lounge picks my song to put on the album. I leave the NYoricans one night. I bump into Rick Morales. He says, yo, do you have a demo? I said, yeah. I said, wait a second, you're Rick Morales? I said, wow, I've been looking for you. You found me. He said, yeah, what's up? He said, you got a demo? I said, I got one. I gave him the tape. So if anybody knows who Rick Morales is, Rick Morales is a journalist that was writing for The Source, and he was writing a column called Unsigned Hype. Unsigned Hype. And I get to give him the tape. He says, look, if you're dope, I'm gonna call you. I'm going away to Florida. I'll see you. So Friday to Monday, I was like this. Damn, I hope he. But it's funny because
Santa Maria.
He was like that listening to the phone.
Yeah. He was like,
Chango.
Hello. Now, in actuality, I kind of forgot that he had it. And at that time we had beepers, and I get a beep, and it was a 212 number, and I was like, oh, this might be him, and it was him. He said, yo, come into the office, today. I got to talk to you. And then that led me to get a column in the Unsigned Hype, October 1997, which I just did an interview. I just did an interview with Dave Mays and them about that, because they interviewed me because I brought Eminem's tape to Riggs, and Eminem got the Unsigned Hype off of me.
Oh wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, you hear my dogs, you know this is live. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining the show, I'm your host, Mr. A.
I'm your co-host, Ellie Sanson, in the building.
And this is the set 6145. Tonight, we're speaking to Brooklyn's own, Queens' own, New York City's own, AL, all lyrical. And I mean, we 30 minutes in and we still got like another hour to go because this dude is just dropping gems. I don't know about you, Sully, but I feel my old flat top with the half moon part coming back right now.
I thought I was the best pop locker in here too. AL guy, but we good. Yo, AL, now real quick, Mr. Let me jump in here. You said you were unprofessional, right? Like you didn't really know. So where did your confidence begin? Was it this 5-6 month span? Was it after that? Like when like, yo, I could do this and everything's starting to go?
I guess that first contest that I won gave me the confidence. Like the first contest, like Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, they took my number. They had me call in for the morning call. Like they were like, yo, you're dope. Like T Money heard me. It was there. He wanted to manage me. It started becoming a thing where like, yo, this kid is, yo, let's get this guy. You know what I'm saying? And I just started making noise. Like I recall going to an open mic and Mos Def coming up. The first time I met Mos Def, he comes up to me. He's like this, yo. And already heard about him, already seen him, whatever. But I never got to meet him. He gave me £1. He's like this, yo, I'm so happy to meet you. And I'm glad that you lived up to what everybody was talking about, because they were talking about you like you would. And I was like, wow, dope compliment. But yeah, man, my confidence came from that battle scene. The battle scene was a big confidence. And then at that time, it's like you don't have anything. So you got this dream about this. I'm gonna give my all. And I started seeing little things like popping up, like, yo, I'm with Kenny D. I'm with this person. Oh, the Beatnuts want to mess with me. Oh, they want to write an article about me. Once that article came out, that I started getting calls from labels. Wow. I started. I had a deal on the table with Sony. I had Rawkus wanting to give me a deal too.
People mentioning Sony is big in and of itself because there's a lot of legendary names on that label. Hello. But he said something that really struck a chord with me when it comes to labels, and he said Rawkus. Now, anybody who's a hip-hop head, who's a New York City dude, knows Rawkus. And when you saw the catalog, or I should say the lineup that was on Rawkus Records, fam, they were just arsonists on that label. You're talking about real calibered MCs. Nobody, just no regular Joe. You're not finding Vanilla Ice up there. You're finding dudes that are prolific with the pen, right? And really can put structure together. And that leads me to the question: how did you come to understand how to write song? Because being lyrical is amazing. But can you write a hit? Can you put a song together? How does that come together for you? Yeah, the structure.
Yeah, well, that I would give that to Kenny Diaz and Sapphire and them. Like I was in the studio with them, like nonstop. Like learning how to make a record, learning that this, the hook was very important at times. You know what I'm saying? Even though like a lot of the hip hop that we were doing was raw, you know what I'm saying? Raw contact, content was raw and what you felt. But the record that I got called Lyrics is still talked about. It's on the Lyricists Lounge album, the first volume 1. And it's basically, it's a homage to lyrics. It's a lot of words in the song, but
shout out to Fool, friend of the show, Fool.
Shout out to everybody on the thing. But yeah, man, the structure, yeah. Well, it's funny because at that time you're looking at a weird period of time, because then you're getting into 98, 97 was, you had a Element, and then Puff Daddy comes out and then does this, and then it kind of divides certain artists. Like you got J. Rue the Damage you're talking about. Yo, I'm tired of this. So the music industry took a little, a look aside because
A fork.
93, 94, you had Wu-Tang Clan, you had Nas, you had all these hip hop artists, just the rawest stuff coming out. You had Smooth the Hustler, Broken Language. Like these records are really, really raw hip hop. And then it turned to a pretty phase and it changed. And that kind of hurt a lot of artists because artists was like, yo, wait a second. How do you get on now? You can't do this. We got to do that. And, people lose the concept of art. You got to come from the heart, not from what the label tells you to do. So that's how the beginning of that going on. But yeah, structuring a song definitely is very important because I could do 75 bars and what are you doing? People don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for me, initially, you could do whatever you want to do. I learned that if you structure an album, you kind of place certain records. Like I could give you a blueprint. It was written. One of my favorite albums of all time. There you go. There's a record right there, lyrics. So it was written, mind you, Nas is coming up with a sophomore album. This is the beginning of people saying, yo, Illmatic was amazing, but it only fell short of sales because it didn't have the commercial appeal. This is the beginning of commercial appeal.
And no features.
Right? No features. AZ wasn't a nobody, whatever, right? AZ, no one know, and he caught a deal right off of that. That's how incredible that song is. But Biggie and Puffy changed everything. That record, Juicy, today might be the best record of all time. Top 10 records that I can say.
Speaking of that, AL, I'm sorry to cut you off. Really, I was going to ask you this, but since you mentioned it, what was your Biggie's coming up, his anniversary? Can you just speak about that, and then we could get back to what you were talking about?
Oh yeah, this is anniversary's coming up in a week. Right. I'm honored to being picked to do a 60-second little dedication to him, and one of my good friends, Eli, that did the Nas mural in Queens, is doing a Biggie mural on St. James and Fulton.
Wow,
he's doing that's what's going on now. Matter of fact, I got to go to the studio. I mean, my stuff is done. I got to shoot the video, and then we're gonna drop it March 8th.
All right,
so that's coming out, and he also is doing a candle. He did the Sean Price one and the Prodigy one, and on the candle, he's putting my lyrics that I wrote on it. So nice. It's an honor to do that, man. I'm coming from Brooklyn and being a fan of Biggie, yeah, I feel I'm happy about this coming out.
I think he was short, obviously, albums, but Biggie's my favorite all time, my greatest.
Yeah, bro. That I always have this little this conversation on who's the greatest or whatever. I find there's so many greats, there's so many greats in different levels of what you're asking for, you know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't be able to say that Jay-Z ain't one of the greatest. I wouldn't say that Nas is not one of the greatest, but there's a few, you know what I'm saying?
Rakim, Big Pun, Coochie, we got so many, right?
Big Pun, bro. You crazy? This is just but to people that you have a taste and a choice, you probably will hear more of Biggie, like you like Biggie more, you know what I mean? I mean, my favorite is Nas. That's my hands down one of the best. Still the best, but that's me. For sure. That's my opinion.
I'm right with you. He's up there for sure.
Yeah, he's up there.
I think that what's happening right now in this conversation points to something very interesting. Over time, especially for guys like us who grew up in the birth of hip hop, we were birthed into hip hop. Our barometer of greatness fluctuates as the time has gone on. Because you have so many MCs that were birthed from other great MCs that we grew up on. Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, KRS, Chuck D, Ice Cube, and the list goes on. As time has passed, those new MCs who were probably inspired like we were by the music have brought their art to the table, and it's like, oh, hold up, man. This dude is incredible. right? So over time, the taste does change.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I will say in this moment, and I know Sully's gonna disagree with me, when you talk about the epitome of what it means to be an MC, for me, my top 5, it starts with Rakim and then everybody else after. It's just, you know, I know a lot of people will say his catalog isn't deep enough, so on and so forth. But if you're a Rakim fan, you know he has so many in the chamber. And those compositions were so incredibly heavy, metaphors, double, triple entendres, message inside of messages. For me, he birthed the MC that you see in Nas, in Jay, in Big. Those dudes that were talking in conversations within conversations.
Big Daddy Kane.
No,
I was a Big Daddy Kane, dude. I was a Big Daddy Kane.
No, I've loved Kane. I love Rod. I love all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I would say KRS is the best performer of all time. Because I've seen so many shows and I've seen everybody perform, and nobody could hold a candle to him because he hypnotizes the crowd. He leaves you. When you leave his show, you're like, you felt like you could go. What do we have to do now? Like it's just a different realm. You know, I've seen Rod's tone is like that. You gotta love him for the records that he's done,
right?
And I will always listen to him, but he doesn't bring that out. You know what I'm saying? And that's you know my opinion of who I feel.
Sure.
But
performance is a big thing.
It's like an overall.
Yeah, he's the best.
Right.
KRS
it's overall live performance
and KRS could put out a hit, perform a hit, make you go crazy, go off the top of the head, freestyle, bro.
Yeah.
Go crazy. You know, write an intellectual record. You know, I seen him perform a record that no one ever heard, and the people was going crazy.
Right. I remember. I don't know, Ayo, were you there when the first time I saw Biggie perform at Sound Factory and they did party and bullshit and we thought a fight really broke out?
I was there.
The fucking right. You was there.
I was.
Wow.
Was that when Boom got cut?
Might have been so many fights when we were out, right?
No, bro. It was in South Factory. I think it was the arena.
Right, you're right. It might have been arena.
It's the arena, and MOP was performing. Remember, MOP was there, and Biggie. Yes. So MOP goes. I think Biggie goes on first. They perform. When that part happens, yo, chill, yo, chill. Like, and then we were like, yo, what's going on?
Ready to pop.
It was a real fight. and then nothing happened. And then MOP gets on, and then a real fight occurred. A real fight happened, and then that's when I was leaving and everything. And I remember, I think Boom cut his arm running out of the door. It was a glass door. Right. But yeah, I was there. I'll never forget that shit. Yes. We was in the trenches. We tasted hip hop to the fullest by being out there.
The statutes of limitations have expired, so anything.
I hope so. I don't want to mention Showtime or certain places. Showboat, certain places. Yeah, we ain't gonna go there. We ain't gonna go there.
Do that one. I was there. I remember that one.
Yeah, we ain't going.
Oh snap!
So hey,
yes.
Fast forward, you're knee deep in it. You know, you're making all these connections. You're in the industry, as they say. Is there ever a moment while you're pursuing your passion that you feel like, you know what, I don't like what I see around me? I think people are, you know, the business side of it, because they always say record company people are shady. Do you ever have any of those experiences on your way?
Oh yeah, of course. When you think like I like the first contract I got from freaking Sony, I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? The first contract. And at that time, Paul Rosenberg, which is Eminem's manager, he was my lawyer. So I gave it to him. He was like, nah, we had a group deal. So House of Reps had a group deal with Sony 550 with Michael Kaplan. So the deal was nah. So we resent the deal back. It came back 2 times, and then when we was about to initially do something, they fired the people that was running that wanted to sign us. and then that was like in 98, and I was in a little limbo spot for a couple of months, and then the Lyricist Lounge Show got picked up by MTV, and I moved out to LA to start writing for the show.
Wow. Let's try to paint the picture for the audience, because you're a native New Yorker essentially, right? And you're in the concrete jungle. What is it like to be a transplant and going out west? And was that your first trip out west?
Yeah, it's my first trip. I freaking it was amazing. Like the first thing, you know, this is 1999. I think September of 99. I shoot out there.
And the other guys from the show are from New York also, right?
Yeah, everybody from the show. So Wordsworth, Master Fool, Baby Power, my boy Punchline, me. We all shoot out to LA, and we all go into we go to Koreatown, which is kind of close to Hollywood. So we rented a house, a big house that had like 7 bedrooms, and we all shacked up in the beginning, bro.
Yeah, we're like the original Jersey Shore for them.
For real.
First wilding out is what they were.
Yeah, all that and the above.
Right.
And that was my first time being able to see what how a TV show is ran, and how so many employees run the whole thing. It was just a whole beautiful opening for me to be like, oh wow, there, you know, I was working 6 days a week. We have to come up with these sketches, and you know what was a freestyle became a TV show. You know what I'm saying? And we birth a lot of other people. Like I would say the guy from Hamilton and the guy from Heat, he always spoke about our show being a influence, an inspiration for him to write the Heights. When he wrote that, we did our stuff in '99. He wrote that a little bit way later, but he's a student of what we did. We're the first show to show hip hop dialogue back and forth with a beat.
Wow, it's funny that you bring up some of the co-hosts or guests or actors that you were working with, because Dom from There Goes the Neighborhood, I think he's connected to like
Master Fool told AL what's up earlier in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Master Fool's there.
Yeah, he was there earlier. I don't know if he's still on.
He flagged through, but he's connected to one of our peoples here who also
yeah. Yo, that's so you see me right there. That's me in the background with the girl doing the thing. I actually wrote. All of us wrote. This is such a beautiful time. We wrote that sketch was the news. It's one of my favorite sketches. I'm actually speaking in the beginning, like, and now spending time. I did that voiceover for that on that sketch. What a great time, bro. I'll always remember this time, bro. This is way before any social media. I got a lot of pictures though. I was lucky to be one of the guys that would grab a disposable camera and take pictures. I got pictures with Snoop, the Brat. I mean, everybody that came to the show.
Awesome.
But that show showed us it showed us what it is to be part of a show, and it's a lot of pressure, man. We had to do so much. We had to we do one sketch and then we were shooting that live.
Really?
So the second season they didn't do it live. We did it live like old school. So one of the executive producer that took upon this project is this guy named Claude Brooks, which he was a child actor back in the days. You've seen him in a couple of movies. He had a TV show, Claude's House, Claude's Crib, or something like that. But he was a cool dude. He was kind of what you call the in-between guy from being black to being a connection to the white world. And then Def Jeff,
he was the buffer.
He was the music coordinator, and he's an amazing dude. I still mess with him. He's my dude. Like Def Jeff, dope. He's a dope writer, producer. He's actually been in Hollywood for like 25 years. After his hip hop career, he took on to being in Hollywood. And man, I met Tracy Ross on that show. JB Smooth was on that show. Before they really popped off.
For sure.
Kenny Buford. I mentioned Kenny Buford is a writer, and he wrote for Martin. He did the Martin show. So me and him connected. It was one of my favorite experiences of being in this music game. One of my favorite experiences working on that TV show.
Al, so you get like, besides, you know, the hip hop and the you know, the Lyricist Lounge and things like that, you start doing model and stuff, you know, clothing lines, right? So
Yeah.
you know, just opens up a bunch of doors for you, right? And you met all these people. I want to get into someone that I know you know you were close with, and we lost recently, a great artist, Mr. Michael K. Williams, right?
Yeah, my brother.
So he I know he's a big house fan, but was he a big hip hop head also?
Oh yeah, definitely. That guy right there, he embodied what music is. He's a reflection of me. Me and him, you know when you click with somebody, it's because you both have similar like he'll be like, yo, Nas is the best. I'm like, yeah, Nas is the best. Like, you know, we're like, yo, those kicks is fire. Yeah, those are fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we just like, everything was like, you know, it's like he became one of my best friends. And
how did you meet?
We met a long time ago. I would say before, when he was dancing in clubs. You know that, right?
Right. So before The Wire, you met.
So before The Wire, but I didn't initially get really close until like 2006 or 07. He came to my studio with another friend of mine. I brought him, and he was like, "Oh, word." And then we clicked after that,
right.
and we was just on the same page since that time, 2008, 9, 10. He started Boardwalk Empire. I was on set for that whole show. I was in love with that show.
I just started watching it again the other day.
Yo, bro, I was there when he did that monologue when he talks to the Klansmen. I was there, and I was like, my beginning. He's like, "Yo, put on your cans." I'm like, "What the hell is cans?" That's what they call headphones in a film world. I'm like, "What?" Okay, put my cans on, and I'm watching this guy. He did like 3 takes, and the third one, I don't know if he did the 3, but all I know is that crazy. I've seen him so much being around him, and I learned so much because I also dabble into acting, you know what I'm saying, and writing in that world. You know, I'm writing scripts, I'm writing episodes, sketches, all of that because of him, because of, you know, what I learned from him and being around him. You know, right. He was an amazing actor, bro.
It's crazy because I'm sorry, A.
Yeah.
I want to speak about Michael K. Williams because we know him from The Wire. That's, you know, most of us know him from The Wire. But to see his evolution and his transformation, and you go from seeing him as Omar to seeing him as Chalky White and all these other roles that he played in. But I think when I saw him in Boardwalk Empire, I was like, yo, this cat has arrived, because his energy and his performance, it's just it comes out. Pause.
Yo, I posted a couple of, like, yo, you know, I went through a lot when he passed away, and I was posting a lot nonstop of his work, and I remember the Rossetti face off with him and Michael K. when he's looking for this guy, and he's hiding out in his house, and that scene is just unbelievable. You know, he's like, "Mr. White, how do I talk to you?" And he's like, "You're doing it." You know, like, and then you're back and forth. Their back and forth was just magic. You know, you see magic. It's like you see magic, and not only that role, the night of country. You know, No Love. I think was a country craft. The last thing that he did.
Yeah, I know you're talking about the HBO special that was very like sci-fi, but very
sci-fi. Like, that was, you know,
tremendous.
He played a lot of characters and gave them life. You know what I'm saying? And did a damn good job. Like, I put him up there with, like, you don't understand. He had so much more to do, bro. He was going to be doing Miles Davis.
What?
he actually before he was doing a big movie called I think it was a boxing movie that he was doing. He was doing what's this guy's name?
Not Joe Frazier.
Tyson?
No,
Because I think Jamie Foxx is doing Tyson. Man. Was he in that one?
No, he was doing what's the guy that had the grill? George
Foreman.
George Foreman. He was playing George Foreman's trainer.
Mm.
And it was a real incredible story that he was going to be doing, and that was right before he passed away. He was going to leave to New Orleans to shoot that movie.
Wow! And
my brother passed, but my guy, you know, it's not a day goes by, weeks. I'd be like, I have so many memories. I could go through my phone, post videos all day, every day, videos of this, that, me and him there, over there.
Do you know what Vice is doing with Black Market? Because I think Black Market, like I watched, and I know he made a lot of it because of him, but I think it's something that is essential that we need to. So Vice, if you're listening, you need to keep that going. And if you don't have no one, my man AL right here is available.
That's his first production, bro. Like he started to produce. We had this conversation, and I mean, the reason why I never really got into so much of acting, because this felt like the auditions it's a difficult world, acting is just crazy. But I said
I think that is something you could do, AL. Honestly, you should talk to these people. They need to keep that going because it's essential to us as a culture.
I think they are, because Dion and Matt is Mike's manager, and then Dion Sapp is Mike's partner, which is a good friend of mine. He before Vice, there were still things that they needed to finish. They finished off like about a couple of things, and they got a couple of other people to finish off, but they were pretty much like 90% with the second season. And they might be able to do it, but understand this, that show's special because of how Mike approaches it.
Of course.
And I'm gonna tell you a story, because the first season I was with him. So I fly out to shoot a movie called The Land. We shoot to Ohio, and then we go to Chicago. And we're doing Chicago, it's a gun running episode. It's an episode of how guns are being ran from Atlanta to Chicago. So we go to Chicago, and we meet this guy from Chicago, this kid named Toon. And I become friends with, like, during the time that we're in this like big house, and the kid is like, during the break, it's like, yo, help me, man, get me out of here. And Mike is like, take my boy's number. So I take the kid's number, and I become friends with this kid. The kid's got to be 26 years old. Mm-hmm. And he's just a street kid that came into a lot of money. And he moved his grandma into suburbs, but he's from the street.
Right.
But that street world is different in Chicago. Those kids are just like, these guys are doing what we play, like hide and go seek. They're doing that with like guns and killing each other, because it's almost like, you kill two of mine, I got to kill three of yours. And it's just like, it's insane.
Yeah.
When's that cycle gonna break?
Black on black killing each other for what? For what? It's just a crazy thing. So I sadly, that kid gets killed during the show. And I became friends with him. And he FaceTimed me one time. I was with Mike. He lost his mind. He posted that shit on Instagram and like, yo, Mike, yo, I'm coming out there. And he was supposed to come to hang out with us. He was gonna stay at my crib. I was gonna let him stay at my house. And the day that he went to the barbershop, he got picked up because they checked him. He had a gun on him. And he never made it to my house. And then a few months passed by. They followed him and they shot up the van. He got killed while he was covering his grandmother. Like that's how they killed. So that being said, the work that Mike takes is work to try to help.
Right.
Because, you could expose all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But what Vice is trying to do is like, okay, we see the problem. You guys are doing this crazy shit. We're getting this exposed. but we want you to go the right path. So what can we do to change this?
Right.
What can we do? Because you have to, like, you know, he's doing something. So, like, most important thing about being a particular artist or person with a voice is trying to give back.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that, you know, I've done it a couple of times. I want to do more, and it's better than any accolade. It's better than any, you know, it's a spiritual fulfilling that you help out. Because I've one of my friends I went to high school, she said, "Yo, can you come to class and teach them about hip hop?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And I went to the class and I told them about it, and I bonded with them, and I ended up coaching them for this thing called Lyrical Genius. It's called Science Genius, which the Jizza from Wu-Tang and my boy Chris Edom from Colombian University, they have this science competition in music, and they do it yearly with the kids. and I was coaching the kids. Right. And you know, it was a different experience for me, and I learned something from that because I met this little girl that was a cutter. I don't know what a cutter is, you know. It's a person that cuts themselves. Yep. Yo, and she was a ill poet, like all crazy. Like I was amazed at her performance, and then she told me and she showed me her red arm. I nearly almost cried.
You know, it's funny, AL, that you say, not funny, but, you know, piggybacking on what you said. I had a kid I played softball with. His name, R.I.P. Saddam Garcia, S-Dot, when you know him as. And he was in that street life, you know, kind of same thing. But he was a kid that listened, you know, like I would talk to him and I'd be like, you know, this is not how you got to do it. You know, you got to try. And he was starting, you know, you could see it was registering. And he got killed. And I took that so hard because I was like, man, this kid was on the path to, you know what I mean? Like getting out. I know it, you know? And then like people like, yo, I wasn't close with him. No, I just recently got close with him because I was, you know, kind of like mentoring him. And it kind of like was like, damn, like this, you know, really, really hurt me that I was like, this kid was on the way out, you know?
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. A lot of our children and I would say that the family structure has changed, bro. You know, it's very difficult for you to have a single parent have 3 kids and work, provide, and then make sure your children are doing good. The streets is the streets, bro. The streets ain't no good out there, bro.
They're different now.
It's I mean, it's always been like that since we were young. But you know, I've been and I would never say this. I've been very fortunate. Both parents were in my life, and I've seen other kids that didn't have both parents and still overcome stuff. So, you know, I don't try to say, but I'm not going to say, oh, you know, it's a choice of what you want to do. Right. And I've been fortunate to learn to take the right path. But, you know, there's a short way path of doing what is negative to get you the way, you know, to get you somewhere. You know what it is. You know what it is. We're all smart.
The road less traveled is very narrow, but the road that everybody's on is wide, and everybody fits on that motherfucker. And the sad thing about it is, thinking about this conversation right now, you brought up a very important point. Not only the family structure, but the reach back, because a lot of people like that have done things in their lives or want to do good for others. A lot of people don't take the time to reach back. Everybody's so caught up in me that we lost.
No.
If you think about the 80s and 90s, the family, we didn't have a lot. Well, I know I didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot, but we were together. And that's what all we needed. And we were good with that, right?
No, 100.
But now the streets have always been that way. But now they're just on another level. It's very, very different. You know?
Yeah. The structure has been, you know, it's tough right now, bro. It's tough to raise a kid and see, you know, what's going on, especially with this, you know, this gang life thing that's going on in the you know, these poverty areas, you know, and I call them that because, you know, you go to the Bronx, these kids is, you know, they're just lost. And only thing you could do is try to reach out. And I I see some artists trying to reach out. But the artists themselves have to, have to
be able.
this is. I mean, I've heard of rap beef, but beef where you really having a problem with somebody and them dying and them doing a song about it. That's
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
There's no respect
For life.
There's no respect for life, and I don't know. I don't know where that's going. You know what I mean? I stick into my lane, whatever. But if I could go outside and try to speak to people and do something, then yeah, it's someone has to say, someone has to say something about that.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to sort of touch this feeling right now that we're having regarding music and the energy in the music now, because I feel like, and you can disagree or agree, I feel like the industry has kidnapped hip hop and turned it into a gang culture.
Years ago,
these kids, it was incrementally done. Right,
hip hop is stolen,
but now we're in it. Now we're here. So you hear this music, the lyrical content isn't even there. It sounds like the dudes that wanted to rap in high school, that every time they started speaking, it's like, "Mira, cállate ya." You there's no flow, there's no nothing.
That's what they're doing. They're doing it. You could go buy a little camera, you use your phone, shoot the video, go in and thing. They don't even mix down the music right. But I tend to not want to be the disgruntled and hater guy of all, of what's new, what's hot, and what's not.
Right.
I just don't like it, bro. To me, I mean, but music has changed a whole lot since probably 2000s, 2, 3, 4. Just, the content has changed. There's you don't hear a positive record about anything. Everything is about, sex, this, that, and it is what it is, and that's what the government wants, bro.
What I think, and I want everybody to understand. And by the way, Martin Black Rivera's in the building. He said, "What up, AL?"
Peace.
What I want everybody to understand is what AL, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. The music that we grew up on, and even as we became young men and then older gentlemen, the music that we absorbed and consumed, yes, sex was talked about. Yes, drugs and alcohol were talked about. But there was actual artistry behind it. There was creativity. It wasn't just the way it is now. And that is the problem that I have. Because everything, there's no veil, there's no covering, there's no sort of subtle messaging. It's just
black.
Right. And when you're allowing young folks who haven't developed properly, you have them in these school systems that isn't teaching them to think critically, and they're teaching them to go along with the masses. This is leading them straight to the fire, period. So for me, that's why I say hip hop has been kidnapped and has given us this gang drill. For me, it's not hate. It's calling it out as what it is. Dudes in skinny jeans and their girl's purse, and they got it. To me, is just crazy. There's no artistry in the music, and that's the problem that I have.
But yeah, that's been for years though. Like even like with the from like AL said, that's been for years. If you watch Snowfall, if you haven't watched Snowfall, the real Ricky Ross story, guys, the government put the drugs in Compton and all that stuff. So this has all been happening for years.
Yeah, they've been very they've been adamant about being able to control what they want to control. And when I say control what they want to control, they want to have these people continue to do this. Yeah. Continue to talk about this and continue to kill yourselves. Because
cops got no work. Cops got no work if they ain't killing each other in the hood. So
it's just it's sad because these kids are not seeing that. But I found myself looking and I found some kids that are from LA that I like right now that are young, if these kids could really get their words out and get people behind them, you know, you could change that whole atmosphere of what music is. Because there's a lot of kids that do like the 90s thing. I found I got this kid that he cuts hair in Miami. Shout out to my man Dre. He's like 25, 26. He's been following me for like 8 years. He comes out to New York. He's hitting me on Facebook like, yo, where's it at? Like, where you at? And I'm like, yo, come over here. He comes. It's like, yo, can you sign my phone? And before even that conversation comes about, if I'm signing my phone, I'm like, yo, he's bringing up all this Bobbito freestyles that I had, stretching Bobbito, bringing natural elements, all this stuff this is 96, 97, 98. So I'm like, yo, how old are you? Like, I'm still thinking because I seen a picture, like, oh, 20, 24, 23. I'm like, bro, you was 2 years old when this came out. How do you know about this? And he said, nah, my whole team, we skateboarders, we listen to this stuff. I'm like, yo, your team? He's like, yeah, my whole crew. That's all we listen to is Stretch and Bob. And I was like, wow. So in my mind, there should be, I think there's more people like this, younger kids that are, you know, gravitating to that sound.
Right.
And, you know, he doesn't really like the new stuff and everything. And then I found some kids from LA called Coast Contra that those kids is out of here. And they're like 23, 24.
Nice.
Actually, they're my boy Raskaz's sons are two of the kids that are on there. And then this other Colombian kid named Rio Los.
Mm-hmm.
And this other kid named Eric Jamel. Out of here, bro. They made I posted some on my Instagram, but they made me say, "Oh, yo, you ain't that special no more, bro." It's
coming back around.
It's you know,
nice.
and that's the type of music that I gravitate to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nice.
You know, substance, something that makes me say, "Ooh, wow," you know. I'm still with my peers. I still listen to Kweli, Most Def. They're gonna come out with an album. I listen to my boys, me, myself. I'm creating music still. So I don't, you know, I stay in my little thing. You know, when you go out, you're gonna hear that music, but when you're in your crib, you listen to whatever you want to listen to. You know what I'm saying? You got the choice.
Ayo, did you watch the Kanye documentary on Netflix?
Nah, I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah.
I definitely want to watch that.
It's very good. The first 2 episodes, you know, so far have been out. It's good. You see Most Def,
I heard.
you know, Neptunes, like how they love, you know, it was crazy. Like to come up.
That's a gem in a gem.
Mm-hmm.
A super big gem for him because he shows you what he was going through. And I do remember him back then, seeing him. I'd seen him in Fat Beats and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I bumped into him somewhere, and he knows of me, and certain artists know of me and stuff, whatever.
Right.
But that's beautiful. When you document something like that, it just shows you
the
that
footage is crazy.
Yeah, you're seeing footage of him talking to Pharrell, and then Pharrell leave. I seen one of that where he leaves the studio like, what? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Those are my moments and shit.
Mm-hmm.
To all the hip hop heads in the room, I don't know if you missed it, but AL mentioned the son of a rapper who is just, like he would say, out of here, Raskaz.
I got a crazy record with him. I'm dropping. I'm shooting a video with it called East West.
For real?
Crazy. Oh
Let's
yeah.
go.
Yeah,
let's go.
We
need that.
I'm going to LA to shoot the video. It's a dope. It's to give you an idea. It's like a jacket for beats.
Yeah.
But 20 like so he's rapping to popular East Coast beats, and I'm rapping to popular West Coast beats.
Nice.
Oh yeah, flipping it. Okay.
So he's doing 12 bars, doing 12, 12, 12, 12, and then we do like, I don't know if we're gonna do it this long, but we have a new. He's rapping to a Pop Smoke beat. I'm rapping to a Nipsey Hussle beat.
Nice.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a dope concept.
You got a 12 or 16 for the set before you sign off?
Oh man,
we might need it. No pressure. We might need it.
No pressure. Yo, the set. I mean, this is so much. I have so many stories, but fundamentally, like, you know, hip hop is always going to be in my heart. It's always going to be here. I'm still looking for, creativity, and it's out there. You know, you got Benny the Butcher, you got artists that stay true to the core, you know what I'm saying? The other stuff it's your choice. If you want to hear the Island Boys or whatever that is, you can have fun listening to that stuff. You know, it is what it is, man. And
Yeah.
I find our genre turn into rock. You know how rock has heavy metal, punk rock, alternative. You know,
And grunge.
you have all these things.
Right.
But I always say this one thing when it comes to an MC: put me on the stage, put that other MC on the stage. You go ahead, go a cappella, and I'm gonna go a cappella, and we're gonna see who's better.
They don't do that no more, my brother.
Listen
They
to me.
do not.
Listen to me. That is always going to be said, because performing for people, you perform people, and people be like, "Yo, this show was kind of whack" or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, like when you perform for a crowd, you have to entertain them. You know what I'm saying?
That's a
Just
fact.
because you got that hit, you know, whatever, doesn't mean that you're great.
Mhm.
Nowadays it's different, right? Nowadays it's like, you still got to come with it, or you lose. But it's funny today. Nowadays it's people's interest on anything is like
Fleeting.
it's like
fleeting.
you heard that song? Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, come on, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, you're not giving nothing any time. There's nothing. There's no time. So I find myself dabbling in film. I still do music, but film is one of my favorite things. And anything to do with art. I love art, and just continuing to do what I have to do.
Being
You know what I'm
creative.
saying? Being creative, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined the show, I'm sorry to tell you, you shit out of luck. But what I will say is, AL, this is your platform. This platform is not ours. This is the people's platform. And you are welcome here anytime. You're part of the set family. If you're doing a school event, if you're coming out with a film, you're dropping your video, you're dropping a new single, any kind of promotion, any kind of anything, you reach out, we got you whenever, wherever. This is your joint right here, all right?
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you let everybody know where they can find you?
You can find me on social media, on IG, all Lyrical, ALLLYRICAL. Then on Facebook, trying to change it, but you got my government on there. It's called Alex Mosquera. And those are probably the two things that you're always going to see me on, I mean, I'm still trying to debate. Do I do a TikTok? Do I do? It's just so much shit to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A Twitter. I used to have a Twitter. I got to get back on Twitter. This NFT shit is really taking off, so I'm working on some stuff with that.
Especially with the art.
But yeah, man. Joe, thank you so much for having me, Selly. My brother for many years. Always respect.
Sure.
Beat maker, you know what I'm saying? this guy been doing this thing for years, and this platform is beautiful, man. Just like being able to get on here and speak what we want to speak. Conversation is always good, and conversation is always inspiring for other people. That okay, he did that, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could do this, or yo, don't do that, because you can end up like this guy that passed away, because a lot of what like I said before, there's a lot of followers and not a lot of leaders. And I call myself as a leader. I never follow anybody's thing. I never did any of that shit, because growing up I was like, yo, I'm not doing that. I never did no coke. I never did pills, none of that shit, because I did what I wanted to do, and I had no pressure with that. And you can't make me do what I don't want to do. And I feel like a lot of kids are pressured like that, and they have no backbone to find themselves and stuff. Or they find themselves saying they want to be part of a group, so they're like, yo, I'll do whatever it takes to be part of this group, and that's not the route to do.
Right.
Be yourself, man.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, you got a minute? We're gonna put you in the green room so we could close the show out.
Yeah.
Inspire to aspire, right? That's what Tupac said.
Yes, sir.
Right. Tupac.
Ladies and gentlemen,
AL, my bro. Thank
New
you.
York's own AL.
Thank you.
Sit tight, brother. You know what? Let me tell you something. He brought a lot more even more so than I expected.
We dodged around a lot of stuff too, man, for sure. AL got a long history. We need to bring him on to chop it up, actually, I think.
You know what? I think we were having a conversation when you were rebooting, and he would be perfect for a chop up because he's definitely on that level. He was definitely letting it go in the early conversation, so he is definitely a candidate for a chop it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, I'm not even gonna give it away. I'm not even gonna do it, but we got something special as always. Thank you for continuing to watch. I hope you enjoyed the show, and just remember the podcast is going audio. If you want to listen to a show, you can pick it up on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple. We going global. So in another week, everything should be up. Just look out for it. Show support, love, like, share, subscribe, do whatever you do. And yeah, man, we're gonna have a good show next week. So make sure you come through. All right, Selly.
Mr. A blocked my drops, guys. Sorry.
We will see you
Haters gonna hate
next Wednesday. We out.